So we are live. This is the first ever Run in the Sun live stream. I'm not expecting anybody to arrive, but I thought I'd give this a go. So basically this week I've not had time to do a video to upload, so I thought I'd jump on here to see whether there are any viewers, any subscribers out there who may be beginner runners or first time marathoners who have questions. So my name is Paul. I'm an 11-time marathon runner. I live in Abu Dhabi, which is in the United Arab Emirates, and I'm just about to run my 12th marathon at the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon in December. So I'm not a coach, I'm not a particularly great runner, but I've run 11 marathons and I've learned one or two things about running marathons. Now I thought I'd jump on here to see whether there was any appetite, any questions that you guys and girls may have about running a marathon or maybe starting to run. And if I can, I'll try and answer your question. So I published a video about 6 months ago about running a sub 4-hour marathon, and it got a lot of traction, a lot of comments, a lot of good positive feedback. So a question I get asked all the time is, how do you train to run a sub 4-hour marathon? So I started this live stream to try and answer some of those questions that I got directed to me. I've not promoted this live stream, I've not advertised it, I've not told anybody about it, so maybe nobody will turn up, so maybe it will just be me talking to myself. But if you've got any questions about running a marathon, maybe training for your first marathon, or maybe you want to try and achieve a time goal, ask away, put it down in the chat, give us your name and let me know where you're viewing from, and I'll try and answer those questions. So I'm just looking in the chat now. Do we have anybody that is watching? No, as expected, we don't. But I'm gonna sit around here for a little while longer to see whether anybody joins. Anybody has a burning question that I'm gonna try and answer. I can't see myself in this camera, so I have to keep looking at my laptop here, so that's why I keep looking over there. So it's a little bit of a new thing for me, a new experience, a new challenge, and I guess that's what running is. When you start, it's a new challenge, it's a new beginning. You don't know where to look, you don't know what to do, and this is why I set up this live stream, to see whether I can help you on your running journey or your marathon journey. So I'm just going to sit here and see whether anybody joins, and I'm going to give it about 5 minutes before I call it a day. Has anybody joined? No, I don't think so. So my name is Paul. I'm also known as Run in the Sun on YouTube and Instagram. I mean, maybe wondering why Run in the Sun. Obviously, I run in the sun. Abu Dhabi is a very sunny place all year round. But I chose the name Run in the Sun because it's kind of a metaphor for how I view running. You should always run with a positive mindset, a positive frame of mind, and you should always treat running as something that you choose to do. It's not meant to be a chore, it's not meant to be something you dread. So I always think that running, for me in particular, is a chance to run in a positive light. So that's why I chose Run in the Sun. It's meant to be a nice, energetic, lively way of describing running for me. So a lot of questions I get asked, I'm going to ask myself questions because absolutely nobody is here, is why the marathon distance? Why did you choose the marathon distance? When did you do your first marathon? How was it? What did you learn in the subsequent 11 marathons afterwards? So I chose my first marathon at the start line of a half marathon during COVID. So what's that, 5 years ago. So I was at the start line of a half marathon in Abu Dhabi with my mask on, and I remember standing at the start line looking at the sign that said half marathon. And at that point I knew that I didn't want to just do a half marathon. I wanted to do the full marathon. That is where my marathon journey started. So 5 years ago, after that half marathon, I then signed up to the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon, which was about 4 months after the half marathon. And I set about training in the best way I could. I went onto Google, I searched the best marathon training plans, and I tried to follow that religiously. So I did about 4 months training for my first marathon. And let's put it this way, it didn't go particularly well. Why is that? Because I underestimated the marathon distance. I thought that the marathon distance was 30 kilometers, which I'd done in my long run, and a little bit more. Well, when I rocked up to that start line, little did I know that that first marathon was probably the toughest 4 hours 45 minutes that I've ever experienced. And the thing is, when I finished that first marathon, even though I was exhausted, even though I was absolutely knackered, tired, I wanted to do it again. Within 10 minutes of finishing that first marathon, I wanted to do another one. And I knew that the second marathon, I would do a lot better. I would have to do more training. I'd have to do more research into what it is to take to run a marathon. And the second marathon was in Paris about 4 months later. So the Paris Marathon came in 2022, April 2022, and that was so much better. I followed a structured training plan, and then after that I got the bug for marathons, and ever since then I've either been training for a marathon or running a marathon. So 11 marathons later, I'm just about to run my 12th in December, the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon, which I've done. I think it's going to be my 5th Abu Dhabi Marathon, and I'm trying to, and I say trying to, achieve a goal that I've attempted, I'd say in the last 3 or 4 marathons. That's achieved 3 hours 45 minutes. Whether I'll do that or not, I don't know, but I'm going to certainly give it a go. I can see we have a viewer. I don't know who that is. If you want to pop your name in the chat, say your name, your alias, where you're from. If you've got a question about beginner running, about marathon training, about marathons itself, pop it down in the chat and I'll try and answer it the best way I can. I don't know who you are, where you're from. This is a new thing for me, so I don't know where to look on my screen, but say your name in the chat and I'll certainly answer any questions. Let's see whether that happens. No questions. So yeah, so I've run 11 marathons. So I've done 4 of the 6, well 7 marathon majors. So I've done Berlin, London, Chicago, and Tokyo. So I've still got New York to go. I've still got Boston, and obviously the new marathon major, Sydney, which I've applied to. And I think in the next 3 or 4 days, we all get to know whether we're going to go to Sydney, to Australia, to run the Sydney Marathon in, I believe it's August next year. So hopefully in the next few days, I'll know one way or the other whether I'm going to try and attempt to finish my 5th marathon. Any questions? Who is in the live stream? What's your name? Where you're from? Am I talking to myself? It feels like I am. Let's have a look to see if I can see who that is. No, I'm not sure who that is. So maybe I needed to promote this more, advertise it more, tell people what I'm trying to do. This was just a place where I thought it would be good to go on the camera and say, hey, have you got any questions? You're a beginner runner, you're a first time marathoner, any questions? And I'll try and answer. So if you're new to the channel, welcome along. Glad to see you here. Have a good look around the channel. Lots of videos about training for your first marathon, how to run your first marathon, what you can do not to hit the wall in your marathon, and also how to recover after a marathon, which I think is a lot less talked about. What do you do when you finish your marathon, especially your first marathon? What do you do? How do you recover? What do you eat? How do you come back from that momentous 42 kilometers? So have a good look around the channel, have a look at the videos. I've been doing YouTube for around about 7 months now, so I'm relatively new. Like I say, I'm not pretending to be an expert runner, the best runner out there, but it's something I decided in January that I run a lot, I do a lot of marathons, I'm an amateur runner. I've learned a lot over the years that I've been running marathons, and that is why I set up this YouTube channel, to try and share my knowledge, my experience in training for and running marathons. So that is why I set up this channel. So if you're brand new here, welcome along. Like I say, my name is Paul. I live in Abu Dhabi, which is in the United Arab Emirates, just about an hour away from Dubai. You've probably heard of Dubai, so an hour away from Dubai. So Abu Dhabi, running in Abu Dhabi is particularly tough because it's hot and humid pretty much all year round. So when we go for a run, when we go for a long run, we are battling with the heat and humidity, whatever time of the year it is, pretty much whatever time of day it is. So currently I'm training for the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon, so our long runs on a Saturday start at 5 a.m. Now, even at that time, it's still so humid. Even at 5 a.m. in, what are we now, end of October, it is still so humid. So we are battling against the elements. And I would say I was battling against the elements in the last 2 marathons that I've run. So in February, I ran the Muscat Marathon in Oman, and again that was a really tough marathon, mainly because it was so hot and humid. It was also hilly, and it was also coming off from the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon, so I didn't train that much. That was a particularly difficult marathon. And the most recent marathon I've done in Thailand, in Songkhla, was also hot and humid and hilly and a 3 a.m. start. So I would say after running 11 marathons, the actual most difficult ones have been the ones where I've ran in heat and humidity. Even though I run pretty much every day in heat and humidity, when you run a marathon, the weather can have such an impact on your performance. And I think that's something that isn't discussed that much, how the weather can have such a negative impact on your marathon performance. Obviously the Berlin Marathon has just recently taken place, and I know lots of runners, lots of very good runners who really struggled in Berlin because it was so hot and humid. So I guess that is probably my number one tip, is watch out for the weather. When you run a marathon, keep an eye on the weather. If you can, train in the weather that you're going to run the marathon in, because if you rock up at the start line and you're used to running in cold weather and it's hot and humid, you're probably going to struggle. So do some runs if you can in similar conditions to what you're going to run the marathon in. So do we have anybody here? Anybody chatting? No, nobody chatting. I don't know why. Maybe it's because you need to be a subscriber. Like I say, I'm pretty new to this live streaming, so I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe you do. But yes, I can see there are a few viewers there. but nobody's chatting along. So maybe what I'll do, maybe I will promote this live stream for next week. Maybe I'll advertise it a little bit better to get more people involved. But I thought I'd give that a go to see whether, first of all, the setup was correct, and it looks like it is, and secondly, to see whether there was any appetite. But I think I need to promote it a little bit more to get some viewers, some comments, and some feedback. So, unless we get a barrage of viewers, a barrage of runners, beginner runners, first-time marathon runners, coming in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to end this live stream. Unless we get a question or two in the chat. Are we going to get any chats in that box that I'm looking at? I don't know. I'll wait here for a minute or two. I can see we do have a few viewers, but we don't have any chat, so let's see. I'll wait here patiently. It's like waiting at the marathon start line. You just don't know what's going to happen over the next 4 hours. I'm not going to do a live stream for 4 hours, obviously, but you just never know. Do we have any questions? No, we don't. So maybe, yes, like I say, I will promote this better next time. Maybe I'll post it on Instagram asking for some questions that I can try and answer. So hopefully next time we'll have a few more viewers. Do we have any questions? Pop them in the chat. Tell me where you're from. Tell me your name, and I'll try and answer those questions as much as I can. Let's see. So tell me, how many years have you been running? How many marathons have you done? Have you done any marathons? Are you in the middle of training for a marathon? Are you doing New York Marathon, which is next Sunday? So that may be a good time to do a live stream, maybe after or during the New York Marathon. Maybe I'll get more viewers then. Have you ran the New York Marathon? That's one marathon I've not run in terms of marathon majors. Something that I've been trying to get into for the last 3 years. Still not managed to get in there. That lottery, so difficult to get into. Not as difficult as the Boston Marathon. I have no idea how, when, or whether I'll ever run that Boston Marathon. I will never, ever get in through the qualifying times. For my age group, it is absolutely almost impossible. But we shall see. You never know. I know there's other ways in, charities, international sport tour companies, but I want to see how I'm going to get in there, because it's going to be really challenging. But this Sydney Marathon, I'm hoping over the next few days I'll get some good feedback. Maybe I'll get in. If not, we shall see which marathons I'll do next year. So tell me, how many marathons have you run? Pop it in the chat. Let me know. How long have you been running? Are you a new runner? Are you an experienced runner? Is the marathon distance your distance, or do you prefer shorter distances? 10k, 5k, or even the half marathon? I've got to say, out of 5k, 10k, half marathons and marathons, my least favourite distance, I've got to say, is probably the 10k. And I ran a 10k a week ago in Aldana as part of preparation for the marathon in December. And even though I did okay, I was trying to beat the time on my watch. There's a video on my channel documenting that. I'm not going to give the spoiler alert, but it was really close. But 10k is not my favourite distance. It's a really tricky distance for me to get right, because I think a 10k, you have to start, I'm not going to say fast, but you've got to start as you mean to go on. You really do have to as soon as that gun goes off, you have to go for it. I don't think there's any time, any room to gather yourself, to pick up the pace, or to control the race. I think it's all out right from that get-go. So I'm not a big fan of the 10K. I prefer the half marathon and the marathon distance. It just gives me time to gather myself, gather my thoughts, get myself into the race. You know, a marathon for me, I don't get going until I'd say about 8 kilometers. At that point, that is when I know my pace, my comfortable pace, and I can pick up or decrease that pace as I see fit. So we do have a comment in the chat. Hello from South Africa. Welcome along. Welcome to the channel. I appreciate your comment. You're the first ever commentator or commenter on this live feed. How is South Africa? I hear last week's marathon was cancelled due to the bad wind. Lots of very disappointed runners, but from what I've seen, they still made a day of it. They still turned up and they did some kind of run. It looked really, really good, even though obviously the cancellation of the marathon obviously probably would have upset a lot of people. It seems like everybody made the best they could from it. So welcome, my first ever comment on a live stream. That is really, really nice. Are you a runner? Are you a beginner runner, an experienced runner? Is the marathon distance your favorite distance, or do you prefer maybe a shorter distance or even a longer distance? Let me know down below in the comments there. So how many viewers do we have now? Just a handful, which is better. More than I thought. That's good. So I'll sit here patiently to see whether there's any questions. So if you've just joined, my name is Paul. I live in Abu Dhabi, which is in the United Arab Emirates, so about an hour away from Dubai. I'm sure a lot of you do know where Dubai is. So Abu Dhabi is the capital city of the United Arab Emirates. And I'm in the middle of training for the ADNOC Abu Dhabi Marathon, which is going to take place on December the 13th. So we've only got, 6 weeks to go until the big day. So we're getting to the really meaty business stages of the marathon training block. So my long runs at the moment are anywhere between 25 to 28 kilometers, and I'm sure over the next couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, we're going to increase that to the magic 32 kilometers there. So we have a question: among your 11 marathons, which is your favorite and which is your least? Very good question. I appreciate the comment. So I guess my favorite marathon, not because it was my fastest or I felt the most comfortable, I would say the London Marathon. Obviously I'm from the UK, I'm British, so it was my home marathon, and the crowd at the London Marathon was absolutely fantastic from start literally to finish. The support, the crowd, the noise, the atmosphere just really was out of this world, especially over the London Tower Bridge. That 1 kilometre, that 1.5 kilometres over that Tower Bridge, I have never heard as much noise from marathon supporters as in the London Marathon. And if you ever get the chance to do the London Marathon, I would recommend it. Even if you don't train for it, if you can get into the London Marathon, I would do it just because of the support. You just feel carried all the way, even when you're struggling, even when you hit the wall. If you do, you just feel the lift from the crowd, from the support. It's such an amazing marathon. And as you obviously get closer to the finish, the crowds just absolutely triple in size, and you feel really special. And something I did in the London Marathon was actually I put my name on my shirt, Paul, and I mean I ran for the last 5k and I heard hundreds and hundreds of people shouting my name. And even though it wasn't my best performance in a marathon, I felt the best. Those random strangers, those random supporters got me through to that finishing line. So that's my top tip, actually. If you're running your first marathon and you're not quite sure how it's going to go, write your name on your shirt. You'll get called, your name will get called, and you'll feel $1,000,000. All of that training will feel worth it when you hear strangers calling your name. They will get you through to the end. Now, my least favourite marathon, I'd say it's a tie-up between the last two. So the one I did in February, the Muscat Marathon in Oman, and Songkhla Marathon in Thailand. Not because they were bad courses or the location wasn't great. I would just say for me, the weather conditions were pretty shocking. Hot, humid. Also, both of those marathons were really, really hilly. I don't like hills on the best of days, and I don't think hills should be part of any marathon course, but in both of those marathons, there were hills. And also the last marathon I did in Songkhla in Thailand, that started at 3 a.m, which was done because to try and avoid the heat and humidity. Obviously in August in Thailand it's very hot, very humid, so the time was set at 3 a.m. to try and avoid the hot and humid weather. It didn't help. It was really, really hot and humid even at 3 a.m. And because it was 3 a.m, I had no sleep at all. My plan was to try and sleep maybe 6-7 o'clock the night before. I didn't. Obviously before a marathon you're quite nervous or quite excited. I tried to get to sleep, so by the time I rocked up to the start line at 3 a.m, I'd been up for 36 hours and it was a struggle. The crowd was great, the volunteers were great, the course was great, running through Songklar's side streets at that time of the morning was great, but it was just a really, really hard marathon. And even though I finished, I would say that was probably, with the Muscat one, my toughest. Not least favourite because it was a bad marathon. It was just one of those marathons that I'm not going to remember that much because it was just so difficult. Comrades Marathon. No, I've heard so many good things about that. That is definitely on my list of marathons to do one day. Definitely going to get myself over there and do a South African marathon, hopefully the Comrades Marathon. Is that the one where it's 1 year is up and the next year is down? I believe that's that marathon. Definitely I want to get over there and try to run one of those marathons in South Africa. I believe this year was it an up year? I'm not quite sure. I know a few friends from Dubai did that. I'm not quite sure whether it was up or down. Looks good fun though. Those famous, I think they call them bus, where they all gather together and have pretty much a party on route. Looks really, really good. So yes, South Africa is definitely going to be on my marathon bucket lists. So any more viewers, any more questions? I'm quite happy to answer these. But we do have a couple of viewers live on the channel right now. Thank you very much for those questions. I really, really appreciate it. We have another viewer. Tell me your name. Tell me where you're from. Do you have any questions? Are you a marathon runner? Are you training for your first marathon? Let me know in the comments. But I really appreciate you popping along and joining this first ever live stream. And I'm actually full of a cold as well, so it's probably not the best time to do a live stream, but hey, why not? Let's give it a go. So I've been on YouTube for around about 7 months now. 7-8 months? No, maybe longer. No, I started in January. And as I mentioned at the top of the video, I started this because, not because I'm a coach, not because I'm the best runner. It's just, you know, I'm an amateur runner, but I think I've learned so much through running, through training for marathons, through running marathons across the world. And I think YouTube is a great platform to share experiences. And for me, that is one of the biggest things about the running community. We're not in this on our own. Even though it is kind of an individual sport, it really isn't. It's a team sport. And I think the running community is one of those sport communities that allows knowledge to be shared without fear that your competitor is going to use that knowledge to beat you. So I started the YouTube channel just to share my experience, share my knowledge, my tips and tricks about how I have pretty much finished all of my 11 marathons. So do we have another question? Yes, you have to try that. Yes, uphill and downhill runs. Whew, that sounds really, really tricky. Saying though, I don't like uphills. So what was it this year? Was it a downhill or was it an uphill? I'm not quite sure. But yes, every time I've seen it on TV, on YouTube, it looks such a great marathon to do. So how many viewers do we have here? We have a few, which is really good. So if there's any more questions, I'll quite happily answer those. So if you're brand new to the channel, don't forget to click on that subscribe button. Have a look around. There's lots of videos about training for a marathon, how to finish a marathon, what to do after a marathon, and everything in between. I try and keep my videos, you know, light-hearted, educational, with lots of personal experiences. What advice would you give to a starter runner? I would say the biggest piece of advice that I would give somebody who's just about to start to run is it's your journey. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Don't let anybody dictate how you should run, how far you should run, how fast you should run, and whether you should run any races. Not everybody wants to run a race, let alone a marathon. So be yourself. It's your journey alone. Yes, follow advice, follow training plans, but at the end of the day, it is your running journey. So don't compare yourself. Comparison is the thief of joy, etc. But it's your journey. So when you're out on your run, you're a new runner, and you pound the pavement for the first time, you may see other runners, and you may try and compare yourself. They look better, they have better gear, they're running faster, they're running better than me. Don't do that, because they would have started as a new runner themselves. You don't know how far they are in their running journey. They could be years into their running journey, so don't compare yourself. And I would always say, actually, the second tip is when you start running, it's going to be difficult. There's absolutely no question, especially if you've never run before. The first few runs are going to feel really tricky, really difficult, and it's probably going to hurt. You're going to be using muscles and tendons and ligaments that you've probably never used before. So those first few runs are going to feel really tricky, and you may ask yourself, why am I doing this? What's it for? I don't like this. I don't feel comfortable. I'm in some kind of pain. I would say, yes, that is natural. It's your body's way of adapting to this new physical exercise. And I would say, keep consistent. As a new runner, yes, the first few weeks are going to be really, really difficult. And you're probably not going to see immediate results. You're not going to be quicker. You're not going to run further in the first few weeks. But if you stay consistent, if you keep going, I would say within 4 to 6 weeks, those runs will become easier. And without even trying, you will become a little bit faster. You will be able to run a bit further. You won't be as out of breath. So don't think that the first few runs will dictate what running is about. You know, if I had stopped when I started running, I wouldn't be where I am now. Those first few runs, I remember those quite particularly. I had shin splints, I had pains in my calves, my hamstrings, I was out of breath. I was questioning, why am I doing this? How do people like running? This is horrible. This is a chore. I don't like it. But I knew, I was always told, keep going. So keep consistent. If you're a new runner, the results will come. You'll feel better. You'll feel fitter. You'll feel healthier. You'll feel a better runner in the weeks to come. So, a couple of more questions here, which is really good. Please suggest your most recommended running shoes based on your experience. So, I'm going to say it straight out there. I'm a New Balance fanboy. I used to run it in Asics, and I thought they were great. And then one of my running friends gave me or suggested to try a pair of New Balance running shoes. And for me, the difference was between night and day. Asics for me were great until I tried those New Balance, and the difference for me was how light, how nimble those New Balance running shoes were compared to the Asics. And I've never looked back. I don't know how many pairs I've got now, probably 7, 8 pairs of New Balance, ranging from the everyday running shoes, I think they're called the Rebel series, from V2, V3, V4, V5s, all the way to the marathon running shoes, the Super Comp Elite. They are so nimble, they're so light, they're so quick. I just find that when I run in New Balance shoes, I just feel quicker. So my recommendation is New Balance. I'm not saying that the other brands are bad, but that is definitely my preference. So yeah, you're just confirming, yeah, 2025 was a downhill run. It sounds easier than an uphill run, but from the footage I've seen, it still looks like a really, really tough one. But yeah, something that I want to do in the years to come. Definitely got to get myself to South Africa to do that. So yes, thank you very much for joining the live stream. My first ever live stream. I will get better at this, I'm pretty sure. If there's any more viewers who have joined, let's have a quick look. We have a handful of viewers. Any more questions? And if not, we'll wrap it up and we'll do it again probably next week, maybe during the New York Marathon. Maybe that's a good time to do it. Maybe we can have a live commentary of what's going down on the New York Marathon. Maybe that would be a good way to do this. So if there's any more questions, I'll quite happily answer those right now. I can see my medals have fallen down here. A couple of the medals that I've got there fallen down. But hey ho, that is life. Sometimes it doesn't go as planned. But there we go. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to wrap up this live stream. I appreciate you joining. It's always a bit of an experiment, bit of a new thing this, so I appreciate you joining along. Hopefully you'll join me on the next one. I really, really appreciate your questions there, and hopefully I've given you some good answers. So if there's no further questions, I'll appreciate, like I say, I appreciate your time, your company, and I'll see you in the next one. So hopefully next Sunday, same time, we'll do it again. We'll have more viewers, lots of comments and questions. I'm just looking at the chat there. Any more? No more questions. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Stay tuned to the channel. There's some really, really good videos I've got planned. Hopefully you'll watch those. And if you've not subscribed already, click on that subscribe button. This is a channel where we welcome all different types of runners. Experienced runners, new runners, fast runners, slow runners, all abilities we welcome to this channel. Oh, this year was a downhill run. Is that what you mentioned before? Or was it uphill? Yeah, no, you did say it was a downhill. Excellent, excellent. So hopefully when I do it, it'll be a downhill. Downhill sounds easier than an uphill, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure now thinking about it. Downhills. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt your quads. I don't know what's gonna hurt, but yeah. Marathons are hard wherever they are in the world, whether it's uphill, downhill, straight, flat, bumpy, turny, cornered, whatever. Marathons are really, really tough. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to wrap up this live stream. Like I say, I really appreciate you joining the live feed, and if you're watching this pre-recorded, which will be on my channel next time, join us next Sunday around about the same time. Click on that live button and follow along live and ask all your questions. So this is Running the Sun, his first ever live stream. I'll see you in the next one.